Welcome to another episode of Founder Unboxed. I'm Kabeer Lal, your host. This is the space where we go beyond balance sheets and boardrooms to explore the humanness of entrepreneurs, the journeys, passions, and inner worlds of founders. Today, I'm joined by Ms. Bindi Dharia, founder of We All, a platform designed to engage individuals in giving back their time, talent, and resources to the communities they live in. Bindi's career has spanned both the corporate and the social sector, from early years as an engineer and operations professional with ArcelorMittal to leadership roles at the Tata Trust, the Piramal Foundation, and the Center for Social Impact and Philanthropy at Ashoka University. Armed with a master's degree in engineering from the University of Michigan and an MBA from Harvard Business School, she blends technical expertise, management rigor, and deep purpose. Beyond her work, Bindi is also a thoughtful blogger on LinkedIn, where her blog, The Road Ahead, explores ideas around leadership, impact, and purpose driven life. She is a prolific motorcycle rider, and boys, before you fall off your chairs, yes, she is single. Her journey is one of engineering precision meeting social purpose, and I can't wait to explore it with her today. Let's unbox Bindi. Welcome to Founder Unboxed. Let's unbox Bindi. Welcome, Bindi. Welcome to Founder Unboxed.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's go back a few years. What kind of a kid were you?
I was a very rebellious child. I think invariably I asked why not generally, and I had a question for just about everything since childhood. So I guess a troublemaker, but a troublemaker with a book, because I would be constantly reading and constantly like asking a lot of questions because of that, because I just knew too much. So I was one of those, what you would call a very smart kid who was a know-it-all. So.
Did you have a sibling or were you?
I do. I have a sister who's the good kid in the house. So, you always have one of those who is the nicer one, who does all the right things in life. And then you have the rebel. So I'm the one who doesn't take the normal path. I guess I've taken the path not taken by most. So.
The road less traveled.
Yes, the road less traveled.
Wonderful. And that still continues. I mean, you bike and you also take roads less traveled.
Well, I haven't done a lot of off-roading, but going there, I do. And I think in life, I've taken the not so traditional route in most cases.
Wonderful. Yeah, we want to explore that for sure. So tell me, what were the early influences or role models? Family, teachers, maybe other relatives?
So I think at home, and I think most people know that as well, I think my biggest role model has been my grandfather.
Okay.
They used to call me his little shadow, or he called me his little lakdi, which means a stick in Gujarati. And I would go behind them, following him since childhood. And that was invariably the case, because I think for me, he was larger than life. They used to talk about the freedom struggle. He was a freedom fighter. All his friends came home, so they talked about building bombs and going through agitations and going to jail.
So you mean stories of that? Not,
stories. But they all went through it. His friends went through it. He talked about how they all fought for the freedom of India. So what you read in books is what I heard in real life at home.
Wow,
what you saw in those movies of, my country, free my country. And so my grandfather was sort of that person. Both my grandparents. My grandmother's also been a part of it. But grandpa more so for me, I think in every element. So because he talked about women liberation, women education. He talked about how he wanted all his kids to study, like especially the girls in the house. So he was a big influence in my life. I think the other person was my school principal. There's a lady called Miss Mean. She was the one who got us into reading because she was the one person who would sit with us and constantly tell us to read books. So she would pick things out of the library, and there's a couple of us who read voraciously. So she constantly would push us to read. So I think I almost read everything in the school library at that point of time.
Wow. So of course, your grandfather has been an influence, but in what ways has he influenced you? what you are now, is what part of it comes from your grandfather?
I think pretty much a good chunk of it. The way I live my life. So they were your quintessential khadi wearing,
Okay.
be Indian, wear Indian, love your country, put the country first, think about the community. So a lot of these elements are a part of how I am. If I talk about the value system that I have right now, what I follow in life, I mean, I don't spend that much money. I think twice about things. I'm not wasteful. I am definitely khadi wearing. This is a khadi sari that I'm wearing at this point of time, which is my grandmother's. I think other elements in life, I think the career I chose is a big part of it. He set up the school and the hospital in the village that we're a part of. He talked a lot about giving back to the community. When we were kids, we didn't celebrate birthdays at home. We went to the orphanage.
Okay.
So in there, it wasn't about giving because you're very rich. It was about like this is you share. So these are your friends, and whatever you get as your gift, you're sharing with everybody out there. And so I think all of those values were there with me as I grew up, and somewhere I think they've been a part of the subconscious mind, and that's why the career that I ended up choosing eventually has been the career that I think he took post-retirement, which is the social impact space, and which is what I do right now. So.
Okay. And in school, did you also, I'm sure you stood out because of your habits, because I'm sure kids would love large birthday parties, and didn't you feel odd when they were celebrating birthday parties in restaurants? You would.
So we weren't a very fancy school, to be honest. We were a middle-class school. So not really, but people went to restaurants. But we didn't have that. I think I had, a mom would just make a nice meal and cake at home for us.
Okay.
Didn't feel odd. I got books for gifts, which were nice because I love to read.
That was an easy gift.
Yeah, it was. And so we were allowed to choose like a book or two to read. And I think that was the extent. It didn't. I don't think I felt I didn't get enough. Maybe it was just ingrained so well in the head since we were kids that I didn't feel like I was missing out anything in life. So yeah, no. But I did go for all the birthday parties. I did enjoy the chips and the cakes and all of that as well. And but I guess I never felt. I did feel I couldn't invite friends home. So I think that was one piece that you feel that I'm going to everyone's house. But then I think you got over it at some point of time.
Okay. And post college, you went into a career in engineering and ops. What drew you to that?
So always good in math and physics. And it came very naturally. I could do calculus in my head. So it was that, like trigonometry and calculus were like play for me. Wow. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, dad's an engineer, uncle's an engineer. So we're sister's an architect. So we're a family of science people. Mom's also, works in genetics.
Okay.
So invariably, I think it was one of those where science was a part of my life. We grew up tinkering with things at home, break the radio apart, break something else apart, and be like, now how do you put it back together?
Okay, wonderful.
And so I think engineering felt like the de facto thing to take for me. I didn't know anything else. I was very clear it was engineering. I even knew what stream I wanted to pick, so it ended up becoming like electronics and telecommunication, which I felt was a lot of interesting things at that point of time. But yeah, I think it was just I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a factory, playing with wires because my father.
So it was
makes
like a natural move.
It just seemed like the most obvious thing. Mom tried to make me go for commercial arts because I used to paint well.
Okay.
And she's an artist. And she said, why don't you go for something else? Everybody in the house is an engineer. I'll have somebody else to talk to. But I think I didn't listen, and I picked this as a career. I also didn't want something that I enjoyed too much to be my career. So,
what inspired you to go out of the country to study?
A couple of different things. I think one, I felt like I hadn't learned enough in engineering college. I wanted to learn more. And I was in subject that I really cared about, which was embedded controls of systems. This is how machines work. Like all your machines right now have a little mini computer inside, which is the base of AI right now, actually. And there were a lot of questions in my head, and I think I hadn't learned enough. So somewhere I felt that was what I wanted to study. I also have a lot of family in the US. So it was one of those things where I felt I wanted to go there. I wanted to explore more. I felt I hadn't learned enough. I wanted to see the world. I had only seen Bombay, and I was like, I want to go out there. I want to see the world. I want to explore so much more out there. So
And
why
your
don't I-
parents were okay with you moving away?
Parents were. My aunt and uncle and a lot of cousins live in the US, so
Okay.
they were fine. They'd seen this happen over the years where their siblings went to the US. So they were fine. They were worried, obviously, their little one was going away, but my parents had never stopped me to do anything in life. So
And so once you graduated your engineering, what was the first job you took on?
So the first job I took on was a steel company.
Okay.
Very, again, non-traditional, not the road like most engineers take. I think most people land up in Silicon Valley. I went to Michigan, which produces a lot of engineers. People end up in Google and Apple and IDEO. Instead of that, I wanted to do both hardware and software. I was very keen to actually, I didn't want to be what you call a code monkey. So I wanted to see what I create in action. And I went to ArcelorMittal, and the big machines were just fascinating, right? The big cranes, the big trucks, the trains, molten iron. And I said, why not? I want to be there on the mill. I don't know, the shop floor was really cool. I like that, I don't know, that energy on the floor. And
But an Indian person of Indian origin in an American factory.
So interestingly, Lakshmi Mittal had just taken over that company. It was an Indian person owning. It was a little alien. Honestly, when I joined the job, I got this whole, I got some amount of, pushback in terms of, brown people will take away our jobs. There's a little bit of resentment. Or I even heard, little girl, what are you doing roaming around? Are you lost? Where's your mum?
Wow.
Because I was a 21-year-old young little kid in overalls roaming around with my hard hat. There were times when I heard this is not a place for a woman. There are only 2 places for women. So there were things, you got all of that. But I think the work was so interesting. I had mechanics and electricians who were big champions also, who were big supporters. So you had the counter as well, and I enjoyed it. I absolutely, I think, loved the experience, and I learned a lot. So
how many years did that last?
4 years.
Wow, that's a big chunk.
It was in the Midwest, in the middle of nowhere. I was, tracking trains with molten iron and coding for blast furnaces. So I think it was very, very interesting. So
what got you to move away from that and into an MBA?
So I think there was a big downturn in the US. I don't know if you remember, but it was Occupy Wall Street and the market crashed. The steel market goes in a different cycle. So it's a couple of years late. So we didn't feel the brunt of it. But at that point, I think 3 years in, we started realizing the paychecks were going to cut. They was going to start shutting down things. Plus, I was done with the Midwest. I think the Midwest gets to you after a point. And I said, what next? I wanted to go west. I was very keen to go
California.
Absolutely. I wanted to go to Silicon Valley. I thought Stanford, being an engineer, I would love to go there.
Harvard चले गए ठंड में?
तो मैंने apply किया. I applied to the top schools. And interestingly, I didn't get in anywhere. But and actually, when I went
That's a problem.
I don't know if it was a problem, but I went there. I fell in love with the campus. I really, really fell in love. It was pouring when I gave my interview. Everybody was complaining. I'm a Bombay girl. I absolutely love the rain. And I walked there and I had a big grin on my face. And the woman who was interviewing me said, what is wrong with you? And I said, it's raining. And I love this. And so I think I fell in love with Boston and the bricks and the energy at Harvard. So I'm so glad I went there because I don't think I would trade those 2 years for anything. So and that school, I think, transformed who I was in a lot of ways because that's where the switch happened, I think. But that's why I landed up there. So,
अगर आप California जाती हैं, you couldn't have fallen in love with Boston for sure.
नहीं, और अगर मैं California जाती तो मैं एक अलग ही इंसान बनती. I wouldn't have been the person I am right now. I'm not sure if I would have asked the questions I have over the last so many years. So I think Harvard showed me a very, very different side of me, and I grew up into a very different human being after that.
So what was the trigger? What was the switch?
I think multiple different things. Because I grew up so Gandhian, I think I had volunteered throughout. But I never thought I could make it a career. HBS has, Social Enterprise Club is actually the second largest club after the Women's Student Association.
Wow. And you were part of both.
Bilkul. And it was when I went there, I started meeting people from Teach for India. Started meeting people who had worked in the US in the impact space. And I said, why not? I could do this. I can make this my career. So I came back for an internship, and that sort of started flipping it. I met a lot of leaders. I met, Teach for India Shine Mistry, and I met Aditya Natraj. I think Aditya Natraj was the one person. He runs the Pyramid Foundation right now. It's one of those people who inspired me a lot, and sort of flipped the switch in my head. He said, don't solve it for children. Come to India, solve the problem for adults, because adults are the issue. Build technology for adults. And I think that flipped the switch in my head. I said, why not? And I can come. And here's somebody who's believing in me. I can come back and do this. And that was a big piece of what happened in Boston. I think the other thing was a class I took there. It was an authentic leadership.
Okay.
And I started asking some very, very difficult questions on what am I doing in life. There was one feedback I got from my peers on, like, you're two people. You're this super kind, nice person. And then you are this, what you would call like hard-nosed, abusive.
Yeah.
Like, I had a defense wall around me. And they said, you need to break that and make it into one human being who's very nice, who knows herself. And so that sort of started my journey of figuring out who am I as a leader, who am I as a person. And that got me to, picking the social sector as one of the places that I want to be in. Plus, I think I came back home. I told my grandparents, my dad, and I said, I want to do this. I want to come back home. I want to join the impact space. And I think my grandfather was, delighted. He said, you'll come work for the country and you will come back to India. So I think there were two things that they were over the moon about. So I said, let's do this. Why not?
So when you left India to go study in the US, was there ever a conflict that I'm leaving the country and going to another country where I may not come back from? Or were you very clear that I'm only going for education?
No, I didn't know if I was going to come back. Honestly, I stayed there for 8 years. It's a fairly long time. There was a lot of thought on should I go back. It's very easy. The life there is easy. I never worked in India. So post business school, making that switch when your colleagues are making $200,000 salaries and you're going to come back and make a $20,000 salary. I think there was a lot of questions. When I went as well, there were questions.
And that was a good time from the getting into the tech world point of view as well.
Well, so when I went there, I didn't think too much. I was a 21-year-old kid who said, chalo, let's see where life takes us. So I wasn't thinking too much. I just went with the flow at that point of time. I was excited more than anything. I was getting to explore a new country.
New country, I know. And alone.
And I was getting to do some really nice stuff. I would live alone. I would do some interesting things. I would see another world. I'd seen it on television. I'd gone there when I was 6. I hadn't gone there again. So it was exciting. I didn't give it a thought. I didn't think I would live there for life, though most people had taken that trajectory. So it was a thought. After living there for a couple of years, I did start missing home though. I never felt like I belonged. There's just very basic things. It's khana. And it's just very fundamental. It's the language. Hindi nahi bolte log itna. And I was living in the Midwest. I would be hunting for a brown face. Forget even Hindi speaking or Gujarati speaking. I would be hunting for just basic brown people or Indian people. Mandir kahan dikh jaye. I'm not even religious, imagine. I was looking for an Indian store. I'm like, where do I find people who look like me? I was the minority significantly. And I missed festivals, I missed home. So there was a thought of I want to go back at some point. My sister had a child and my grandfather was getting old. So I think for me, I wanted to spend the last couple of years with him. So I think I was missing home at that point a lot then. Yeah.
So having come from a family that was rooted in Desh Bhakti and doing things for the community, not a business background, how did that shape your idea of money, of ambition?
So father's a businessman.
Okay.
And ambitious. So it's, and they pushed me. So even though they were freedom fighters, as you would call them, grandfather still landed up in Bombay to start a business. So there is a lot of ambition. And they pushed us. So I was always asked, if you got a 99 in math, where did the 1 go? You had to always exceed.
But isn't that all Indian parents?
It is.
All brown parents.
But I think there wasn't a comparison with anybody. It was a comparison with me. I was constantly pushed to be a better version of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sort of got me ambitious to say I had to be better all the time. Plus, we were shown the stars. You were told, you have to go somewhere out there. You have to like come first. You have to lead. So there was a big push for that. In terms of money, I think I had a very different relationship because my grandfather, there's a term that you use in Gujarati, it's called karkasar, where it's about you think twice about spending money.
Okay.
And he was a big proponent of, so I've always been that way. I have what they would call, they used to call me Chindi Bindi. And so I have that relationship with money where I don't spend as much. I save, I think twice about anything out there. And that frugality in a way has led me to have enough in the bank to do whatever I want in life.
Wonderful.
So I've gained experiences. Like I used to spend on travel, which I think a lot of Gujarati people do. I used to spend on books, but I didn't spend on clothes. I didn't spend on other fripperies. So that way I ended up saving. And so that my relationship with money is very interesting. I don't want money for myself. And it's always a problem when you're an entrepreneur now to say, I don't want money for myself. So that's one bit that one has to think about.
So when the switch happened, when you visited India and you joined the foundations and thought कि हाँ कुछ हो सकता है यहाँ पर, how did you figure out कि किस तरह शुरू करना है and what is the next step and how do I get started?
So I think in the journey, the career journey, are you asking about or just the startup?
Yeah, I mean, because you came back when you were still studying, right?
Yes.
And did you go back and finish and then decided to come to India, or you decided to do something else there?
No, so while I was at business school, I did an internship in India.
Yeah, you mentioned.
And then I did another internship over winter.
Okay.
And I did a whole bunch of research. So what I did was I went around talking to as many leaders as possible. The beauty of going to one of the top schools or the top school in the world is they teach you how to leverage that network beautifully.
Correct.
And that was one skill that I took to heart to say, I'm getting access.
Yeah.
I need to talk to everybody I can find. So I sent out emails to almost everybody who worked in the education space, in the impact space, anybody I could think of. And luckily I had two very strong networks. Both Michigan and Harvard are very strong in India.
Okay.
And when I came back over summer, I don't know how many coffees I must have had or chais I must have had and spoken to so many people because that helped me figure out what next. I don't think I would have landed up in Aditya's office if I hadn't spoken to some 50 people. So I have this ridiculous Excel spreadsheet with 100, 150 names. And I do this every couple of years where I go through that list. And that's how it's helped me find every job in India. It's been a network search. And that's what's helped me in the startup also in a sense because that network's helped me, with my funders. It's helped me with everything that I've done so far. So,
excellent. And how did you get started from on the startup?
So, I had worked in the nonprofit world for 10 years and I had worked in a large philanthropy. I'd worked in a large nonprofit on the ground.
Okay.
And I had worked in what they would call an ecosystem organization that bridges both.
Okay.
So I was, of the viewpoint, I had a very nice, interesting background where I knew all three spaces.
Okay.
And that made me, I knew the gaps that existed in the sector from where the money comes or from philanthropy. I knew the gaps from the nonprofit side as well.
Okay.
And so I wanted to really solve for that gap for nonprofits. And then during COVID, I saw a lot of youth or individuals come out. And I saw them engage. I saw them overnight make these platforms where people could get beds, people could get medicines, oxygen cylinders.
Okay.
And so I saw the power of what skills they had and how one could leverage them. And then they all disappeared. COVID got over and they all disappeared. And I said, why? Like, why is this not a part of their lives? It's a part of my life. For me, giving is a no-brainer. This is how I live. Why doesn't everybody live like this, right? And they have skills. We can leverage these skills to solve so many problems. And so I said, why is nobody working on this? And plus I said, why is nobody using tech, right? Because there is a whole mix one can do. And that's when I said, I'm going to do this. I pitched this or I used to work at Ashoka University. I talked to my boss about it. She said, you can't do it in this system. Like you would have to step out and do it. And she said, it's a great idea. You should go ahead and do it. I spoke to Aditya Natraj also. And Aditya said, you should do this. I think it's a wonderful. So I spoke to a bunch of people. Who were leaders in the space. I spoke to the founder of Give India, Venkat. And so all of them said, you should start. So chalo, like
So
let's
that's
do
when
this.
we all was born.
That's when we all was born, and we all. The beauty is even the name. If you think about it, it's the power of the community,
Yeah,
right? We
of
say
course.
we all value all, so value all skills, and we all is the community around you. If you can leverage that community and all of us together work to solve problems, then I think it's possible in this country to solve a lot of things together. So I mean, we've seen it in Punjab right now. Community
So
does a
from
lot.
that point when we all was born to where you are now, what have been your milestone or really interesting moments that have brought you here?
So couple of different things. I think this year's been the biggest one.
Okay.
The first year was first and second year were a lot of pilots. I think the first year actually the milestone would be, I would say, negative in a sense, because we built a pilot. I built a tech platform. I put in my own money. I would say no founder should do that. Don't make a platform at the get go. But I was a techie who said, let's just build. I ended up building it and then realized we got traction, but not as much of pull. We had to push a lot. Didn't have marketing budgets to spend. So shut it down and went back to the table to start again. And then this year, so 2 years of running a lot of pilots on the ground, this year's been what I would say the milestone here, right? We had the app that launched in April this year. Saw 1,000 kids join in like 2 months. We saw a lot of traction, but also a lot of feedback. And then we had the beauty of AI now. We made a web app in two weeks.
Wow.
We have it out now, and we're seeing a lot of traction at this point of time. The goal is 10,000 users by the end of this year, and we're getting wonderful feedback from colleges and schools in Delhi NCR right now. So I think it's a space where this can pretty much explode. So we'll see how it goes now.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
So the 8 years you spent in the US were obviously very different from the time you spent here. But did you bring back certain ways of thinking or ways of managing which you successfully used here in India as well?
For sure. I think one is that engineering brain. There's a certain logical thought process to thinking and breaking apart problems. Both business school and that engineering brain teaches you that logical, rational thinking. And I think I've applied that to each of my jobs as I've gone, but more so to the startup.
Okay.
Like all nice business school people, I wrote a business plan at the get-go. And I keep refining as I go. So that helps me really refine things. The other piece is on how you lead, how do you think of people. So all those elements, I think, came from the West, because there is a level of professionalism that I saw there. There is a way they function.
Correct.
And I brought that back when I started working here. So I was very clear 9-to-5 job is the way I do. I don't want people in my team to just sit around because I'm sitting here in office, right? There were times in my first job, I would go home at Friday night and I would be like, I'm going out. Everybody needs to leave. We need to have a life. And I was very clear about that, because my first job taught me that, because I feel one can be more innovative if one has downtime.
Correct.
I don't think one needs to, this culture of working, I don't know, 8 in the morning to midnight, and then, not having a life is, I don't know why people think it's a productive life. Yes, I know a lot of entrepreneurs have been super, super successful with that lifestyle, but yes, I might be a little slow, but I don't think you should, kill yourself working and say that this is thriving and this is a way to function.
So you're definitely not moving towards burnout.
I would not want to. I think I have been there in life, and I would prefer not to go there at all. So I think the 10 years or 8 years in the impact space got me there. People work because passion drives you. You tend to work a lot more. And because when you see so much on the ground, there is a guilt that you take with it. I ended up working insane hours during COVID.
Okay.
Most people in the impact space actually ended up working. I was working my normal job in the day. I used to fundraise with Give India. So a whole bunch of us were helping them fundraise. We all fundraised in the night. And then there were times in the night I was also helping coordinate kids for oxygen cylinders.
Okay, interesting.
So 15-hour days, more than that, you wouldn't be sleeping in the night because you're hearing of death so much. I think 3 years into COVID,
They were very tough times.
I had a massive burnout. I crashed. It was not nice. And a lot of people in my team crashed with that because we were all running. So I told myself never again. I am going to make sure my mental health is in place.
And this was both waves of COVID?
Yes. I mean, I also lost my grandparents in COVID. I lost my maternal grandparents. And so it was also personally a big hit. And so I think personally, professionally, I was just running like a maniac. So.
Wow. Excellent. So outside of work, you write very prolifically on LinkedIn. And through, it's called The Road Ahead. So what role does it play in your thinking, in your life?
So I'm an extremely, I would say, a private person. Otherwise, I don't talk about my life. But when I started this, when I started Be All, a close person who worked in, she told me that if you don't take control of your story, somebody else will take control of it. So you should take control of the narrative and talk about it. So she said, why don't you start writing? Your style or the way you write your voice is very authentic. And so write how you speak. And I said, okay, chalo, let's see what happens. And I started writing. And what happened was the beauty of, I started documenting my journey. So a couple of months in, and I wasn't a regular, but a couple of months in, I went back and I said, okay, I'm growing as an individual. My company is growing and I can see the evolution. So then I started prompting, and it really helps me because it makes me reflect. So every Sunday night I sit, or Monday early morning I sit, I reflect on what happened last week and I write about that. So for instance, this conversation is really making me think. So most likely Monday morning you're going to have a blog on this. But it makes me think about, who I am, what do I really stand for, what am I working for? And that helps with the blog. And I go back and regularly read, looking at my journey. So I'm not writing for anybody. This blog is for me. Interestingly, though, what happens is every time I meet somebody, because they've checked me out on LinkedIn, they've read the blog. They tell me I read XYZ story, I was really inspired. They relate to it. Because what is happening with most entrepreneurs is they're not talking about failure. They're not talking about the journey. They're talking only about success. And I'm not saying I have reached it. I've not even there. I've just started. But the fact that I'm talking about my journey, they're finding a lot of relatability with a lot of entrepreneurs.
In fact, that's my core of this podcast. I don't want to talk about successes. I want to talk about journeys. I want to talk about what people have gone through, what has influenced them. So I'm with you.
Well, I'm a biker, right? So if you think about it, the destination is not as important as the road, right? Like the road is, you enjoy the road, and that's the beauty of how you see the world out there. Because otherwise, what's the fun in just reaching the destination and then talking about, the success? Yes, you have to reach somewhere, but there's always a road ahead from there.
So the road ahead brings me to the road less traveled and your biking journey. So what got you started in biking?
Well, I mean, for 20 years, I was told this is ladkiyan bike nahi chalati hai, kick laga ke dikha. And
then they put that push button.
Yes. Well, I also learned how to kick the bike because the first bike that I rode was a Classic 500. Or the push was not working, so I learned how to kickstart the bike. But it was, I think, 20 years of not happening, and then I found this beautiful community and this man called Amit Saini who runs Motor Life.
He's been a guest with us.
Yes, wonderful podcast. And I think that triggered, and I said, why not? Like, I had turned 40. I was like, I'm going to do way more than I started a startup. I said, let's do this. It's time to get all the experiences that you wanted to do. And biking was one of them. And 4 days in, and there's no looking back, because I think this...
you were hooked.
I am. And this tribe of women, I mean, empowered women is just, I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. And the bike is liberating, right? In the helmet, it's me and just me alone. And when I'm happy, I ride. When I'm sad, I ride. Or I can scream in the bike and I'm okay. So...
Amit said the same thing. When I'm happy, I ride. When I'm sad, I ride. Excellent.
I think a lot of bikers will say a similar thing. It's a sentiment a lot of us echo in the community. So
brilliant. What do you bring back after a ride?
I think it's a lot of memories. And a lot of times, I think I get so much me time because, with work, I'm constantly doing meetings. I'm talking to people. I don't get time for me. So what I get back from a ride is a very clear head, because I totally shut down in a ride. And whatever memories or whatever things. So I come back with a lot of innovative ideas. So my team tells me, jao trip pe. Why don't you just go? Take some time off, go ride. Because invariably I come up with something very cool and interesting on what to do next. So
clarity of thought, I think. That's big gain.
Don't get a chance to shut down otherwise. I used to paint earlier, but I think I've stopped that because that used to give me time to shut down. So bikings these days become my release.
Yeah, no, I think both of them are very similar, painting and biking. I mean, definitely me time is important.
Absolutely.
Now, tell me something about what do you consider as your biggest strength? as a founder, of course?
So I think the biggest strength, and this has been, this is feedback that I've gotten from I think any job. I understand people well.
Okay.
It's a skill set, and maybe it's also from childhood. I had a mom who was sick or is sick, and with mental health issues, there is that invariably you're looking for signs beyond. Um, and so this sort of trained me in a way. I think something that you would say would be a weakness, and I've became my strength. That I learned to read between the lines. So even when I'm working with people, it's not just empathy; it's that ability to cut through the crap, understand the person, be there for the person, but also motivate them in the right way. And I feel that is my biggest strength. Yes, I've been called a mother and on the other side and been told that you're too soft. But the reality is, I would say this is what they call feminist leadership, right? Women tend to lead differently. And while I might be soft in certain ways, I know how to yank the chain and say, we got to get the work done, let's get it done. I never had. So I think that beauty of that strength is that ability to actually understand the person and then echo what they're doing accordingly and make things happen. So, and this has worked across. I think when I've gone to raise money or when I've worked with people and I'd worked with electricians in the mill, and it's now working with, I guess it worked with school headmasters in Rajasthan, and now with, I guess, coders right now in we also.
Wonderful. And what would you say is your blind spot?
I think it's money. You asked this question earlier. The problem is this discomfort, and it's 10 years in the social impact space, or now 13, is this thing of, not, or money not being the nice thing, or money, you get money, you don't get money for yourself, you get money for the ground. And that discomfort, it's taken me 3 years to unlearn that, or 3 years of the startup. I have a CTO who's come from the startup world. Kapil used to work with SlideShare and a bunch of other places. And he sort of helped me now navigate that after he's coming, saying money is not bad. You don't want it for yourself, don't take it. But bring the money to pay equitable salary. Bring the money to do all the cool, innovative work you want to do. You want to build a platform to change lives, right? You want to build a community from this. You want to connect all the youth of India and maybe go global.
And buy a new bike.
And well, I love my current bike, so I'm okay with that one. But I always wanted to buy a BMW M3 convertible, so that's a separate one. But yes, but I think this is it's helped me then reach a point where I'm okay with money, but it's still not. It's still a blind spot. I feel in some ways because I'm constantly in conflict. Because there are a lot of times when somebody will ask me, paise chahiye, and I said, nahi, mujhe nahi chahiye. And that's a problem when you're an entrepreneur. You have to be talking about money constantly, especially because it's a for-profit startup.
Correct.
It's not a non-profit. I want to make it a sustainable and then a profitable business. So there is a conflict in the head somewhere.
So what are you currently building towards We All that you're really excited about?
I think the most exciting part that we're building right now is the community element at We All. So what we've built so far is just basic features on how young people can actually interact or do interesting opportunities with nonprofits. What we are calling now is Build Your Own Collab or Build Your Own Quest. Where we're trying to build these cool projects where people can take large problems or even basic problems and then create solutions for these problems, but not alone, with people in their communities, with their friends. And that I think is very exciting because then you're not using the traditional model, right? You're taking like innovative brains of youth on ground and saying, how do we solve for, say, the garbage problem in Gurgaon? I don't know how do you solve for this water problem. I don't know who can solve for this flood problem in Gurgaon, but maybe at least a garbage problem could be solved. And I think the youth of this country can have a lot of power and a lot of skills to solve issues. So this piece is super exciting for me. I think it's also going to help us take us to our PMF or our revenue because we want to start building a currency into this. So we want to monetize this. Somewhere we'll start building incentive structures and build a whole marketplace around it. But that should be fun. So it's all exciting. And there's a feature coming out almost every couple of weeks for us right now.
Excellent.
So we're this year's we're going to just be at it. So it's going to be fun.
So coming towards the last section of this talk, there's going to be a rapid fire section. Okay, so you'll have 60 seconds to answer 4 questions. Okay, don't worry, we don't have a timer. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
So give me one business or leadership hack that you swear by.
People come first. No matter what, you're running a business for people, and if you don't put them first, then your business will not survive.
Amazing. Now, what's one personal productivity hack?
So it's not productivity. I think for me, it's being authentic. So it's a life hack, I would say.
Okay.
I can't be anything but myself, and I've tried, and I invariably fail. So I've told myself, just be yourself no matter what. And if I'm a khadi wearing, jola carrying person, that's what I am. So
what you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. Absolutely.
Excellent. Now, what is one mindset shift that changed everything for you?
I think it's to be okay with chaos. When you start a company, and I'm what you would call, I needed control in life for various reasons in my childhood. And I think control is different. So, I think now with a startup, you have to be okay with chaos. You have to be okay with going with the flow. And so I think that piece is something, it's taken a mindset shift, but I think I'm okay. And the beauty is the solution emerges from chaos. So.
And tell me last, is one book or a social entrepreneur or a thinker that continues to inspire you?
So I think a book I really like, lots of books, but I think right now it's No Rules. It's the Netflix story.
Okay.
I thought it was a part of my culture, the company, where I would say, you take vacation whenever you want, you pick rock stars. But I love the book. I think everybody should read that Netflix story on how they build their culture.
Okay.
Because I think as I build We All, that's how I would like to build. So No Rules. And I think another one is, I'm going to cheat. I think it's Phil Buchanan's like Giving Matters, because I think it's giving. No, it's not giving done right. That's the one. So that's the one I really like.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bindi. Thank you for being with us and sharing such amazing insights.
Thank you. It's been wonderful. And thank you for doing this. Love the idea of the podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Bindi Unboxed, in a conversation that connected her journey from engineering flaws to the world of philanthropy and social impact. Now, what stood out for me was how Bindi combines the rigor and empathy, the discipline of an engineer, the strategy of a business leader, and the heart of someone who believes in giving back. Her work with We All is a reminder that impact doesn't always need to be massive in scale. It can start with individuals contributing their time, talent, and resources in a meaningful way. And through her writing, her No Rules Rule leadership, and her example, Bindi continues to inspire others to think about the road ahead. If you like this, do stay connected to us by subscribing, because there's going to be amazing more episodes coming your way. Thank you.